Good morning. Let us start the lesson Reaching the Age of Adolescence. Today, in this lecture, I am going to cover the following topics, that is the introduction about the adolescence, puberty, changes at puberty, secondary sexual characters, role of hormones, menstruation. So let us start. Now, adolescence. The period of life when the body undergoes changes leading to reproductive maturity is called adolescence. Adolescence begins around the age of 11 and lasts up to the 18 or 19 years. Adolescents are called teenagers, as I think all of you are in between the age of 11 to 13. So you all comes under the teenagers. So all of you can be we can call you in teenagers. So period of your life which is in between is 11 years. During this period, your body undergoes many changes and leading to the reproductive maturity. So this period is called the adolescence. Now, puberty. The human body undergoes several changes during adolescence. These changes mark the onset of puberty. The most important change which makes puberty is that the boys and the girls become capable of reproduction. Reproduction means to producing anyone just like the one itself. Puberty ends when an adolescent reaches reproductive maturity. Now, the following changes we can see during the puberty. For example, you also have noticed that during your age, the increase in height, change in body shape, voice change, especially in boys, you can notice that the voice of the boys changes during this period, increased activity of the sweat and sebaceous glands, development of sex organs, reaching mental, intellectual, and emotional maturity. Now, increase in height. The most conspicuous change during puberty is the sudden increase in height. At this time, the long bones, that is, the bone of arms and the legs, elongate and make a person tall. Average rate of growth. Now, this chart will give us the average rate of growth during when the child is at the age of 8 years. Boys gains 72% of its full height, while the girls gain 77% of full height. At the age of 9, 75% of full height, girls 81% of full height. So this table tells you, and with the help of this table you can find out your the full height, means up to which height you can reach. Calculation for the full height, present height upon percentage of the full height at this age into 100. For example, if any boy at the 9 years old is 120 centimeter tall and at the end of the growth period he is likely to be. Now, since from this table at the age of 9 the boys attain 75% of his full height, so 120, that is the present height, upon 75%, 75 into 100, this reduces to 160 centimeter tall. So by this chart you can easily find out that up to which height you will reach finally when you will become older, or means when you complete the age of 18 or 20 years, then how much height you can gain. Now, by the age of 11, a boy has reached 81% of his age, while a girl has reached 88% of her full height. So draw a graph. So by the help of using that chart, we can draw a graph for the age, means at the age of 11, their height is approximately 81% and 88%. So similarly, using that chart, after that we can draw a graph, and the graph will look like that is the red color is showing the boy and the blue color graph is showing the girl. Means girls, they reaches to their height earlier and the boys reaches to their height comparatively later on, but they gain the full height. Now changes in the body shape. Boys, the shoulder becomes broader and the chest becomes wider. The muscles of the body grow prominently, while in girls, the region below the waist becomes wider. The muscles of the body do not grow prominently, just like the muscles of the body. Voice changes. In boys, at puberty, the voice box or the larynx begins to grow. In the boys develop larger voice boxes. Boys have a deep and hoarse voice. The larynx is visible clearly. Larynx is, you can see the Adam's apple on your throat. While the girls, the larynx is hardly visible from the outside and the girls have a high-pitched voice. This you must have noticed among your classmates. Now the Adam's apple. The growing voice box can be seen as a protruding part of the throat called Adam's apple. So this part is called the Adam's apple, which is quite visible in the boys while it is not visible in the girls. The increased activity of the sweat and sebaceous gland. The secretion of the sweat glands and sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands means oil glands, and by the sebaceous glands, pimples, you can see the acne and the pimples on the faces. So many young people get acne and pimples on the face at this time because of the increased activity of these glands in the skin. So because of the sebaceous glands, the children usually they get the acne on the face. Now sweat and sebaceous gland. These glands release their secretion through ducts. Endocrine glands. These glands release hormones directly into the bloodstream, so they are also termed ductless glands. So the difference between the sweat and the sebaceous glands. Sweat and the sebaceous glands, they secretions through the ducts, and endocrine glands, they release hormones directly into the bloodstream, so they are the ductless glands. The development of the sex organs. In the boys, the testes and the penis develop completely. The testes also begins to produce sperm, while in girls, the ovaries enlarge and eggs begins to mature. Also, ovaries start releasing matured eggs. Now, reaching the mental maturity. It is the time in one's life when the brain has greatest capacity for learning. Intellectual maturity, the change in person's way of thinking. The person feels more independent than before and becomes self-conscious. This all you must have noticed among you during your age, that you feel yourself to be more independent. You do not want any interference of your parents or of your teachers or the elder ones. You feel that you are more self-confident, more self-dependent. Your way of thinking changes. The emotional maturity, a person may feel insecure while trying to adjust to the changes in the body and the mind. So during this time, many changes in the body as well as in the mind are taking place. So the children or the person, they feel insecure during this time. The secondary sexual characters in the boys. They begin to grow facial hairs, that is the moustaches and the burrs. The hair also begins to grow on the chest, under the arms and the region above the thigh or the pubic region. While in the girls, the breast begins to develop, the hair begin to grow on the chest, under the arms and the region above the thigh or the pubic region. This madam, I think this is a spelling wrong. This should be the pubic region. Now the hormones. The changes which occur at adolescence are controlled by the chemical substances are called hormones. So hormones are the secretion from the endocrine glands. In boys, the testes begins to release male hormones or testosterone. This causes the hair growth. While in girls, the ovaries begins to produce the female hormone or called the estrogen, which makes the breast develop. Milk secreting glands or mammary glands develop inside the breast. The production of these hormones is under control of another hormone and in endocrine gland called the pituitary gland. Called the pituitary gland. The role of hormones in initiating reproductive functions. There are many endocrine glands or the ductless glands in the body. The testes and the ovaries secrete sex hormones. The sex hormones are under the control of hormones called the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland secretes many hormones, one of which makes ova mature in the ovaries and sperm forms in the testes. The onset of the puberty is controlled by hormones. The hormones from pituitary stimulate testes and ovaries to release testosterone in males and estrogen in females. Released in the bloodstreams and reaches parts of the body target sites, stimulate changes in the body at the onset of puberty. Reproductive phase of life in humans. In female, the reproductive phase of life begins at puberty and generally lasts till the age of approximately 45 to 50 years. One ovum matures and is released by one of the ovaries once in about 28 to 30 days. During this period, the wall of uterus becomes thick so as to receive the egg in case it is fertilized and begin to develop. When fertilization does not occur, the released egg and the thickened lining of the uterus along with its blood vessels are shed off. This causes bleeding in the woman, which is called the menstruation. So menstruation occurs once in about 28 to 30 days. The first menstrual flow begins at puberty is known as Menarche, and at the age of 45 to 50 years the menstrual cycle stops and this is called the menopause. Stoppage of menstruation is termed as menopause. Initially, menstrual cycle may be irregular. It may take time to become regular. So that is all. Thank you.